Alright, so these are our lesson goals. You want to get these copied down to the front of your notes packet, and then go ahead and hit pause, and once you're done you can hit play, and then we'll go to the lesson. Alright, so today we're going to do 8.4a. It says binomial squares and then the product of a sum or a difference. Okay, so the first chunk is called binomial squares, and it says, can you find the pattern? Alright, so my first question for you guys out there is, what does it really mean if something is squared? Like 5 squared. What does 5 squared really mean? 5 times 5. Okay? So when we see something like this squared, what it really means is I have this parenthesis times itself. Just like 5 times 5, I have x plus 7 times x plus 7. Once I write it this way, give me a wild guess on what you think we should do next. Say it loud so everybody can hear you. FOIL. Okay. Alright, so help me out. What's the first times the first? Outsides? Insides? And last? 49. So now if I combine them, I get x squared plus 14x plus 49. Okay. Alright, so in the parentheses up here, it says binomial squares, and then in the parentheses it says, can you find the pattern? Okay, so I'm going to give you a little hint. There is a pattern that goes from here to the answer without any work. Okay, so what I would like you to do is, I want you to start foiling these out, so just 1 through 4, and see if you can find the pattern. Okay? I'm going to hit, or you guys hit pause at home, and then do those 4, and then you can hit play once you're ready. Alright, so hopefully we're done here, or close to done. Okay, so Kareem, you are up. What should I write first? Okay, what'd you get? Well, give me the step in between. And then you said w to the second plus 18w plus 81. Okay, that should be correct. Okay, number 3. Mitchell?
What?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, give me your first line of work on number 3.
H plus 3, h to the second.
Okay, say it again.
Now, h times h.
Just give me the answer there, bud.
H.
Okay.
Plus 6h. 3h. Plus 3h. Plus 9.
Okay. Cassidy, what did you get for your final answer?
H to the second. Plus 6h. Plus 9.
Aiden?
2s plus 4.
Okay, go ahead.
2s.
What's 2 times 2?
4s.
Okay.
Plus 8s. Plus 8s. Plus 16.
Okay, so then we get 4s to the second plus 16s plus 16. Does everybody agree with those answers?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. In this type of problem, there's a special pattern so that I don't have to do all of this work. I can go from this to the end without any work. Do we have the pattern out there? Ethan, you said right away you think you got it. Describe it for me. How can I go from the beginning to the end without any work?
Well, you gotta put the expo 2 to the W by W to the second.
Okay.
And then you just times the next number by 2 and add a W.
Okay.
And then you gotta use the next numbers with the exponent.
Okay. So he was talking about number 2. So he said, take the W and square it, you said, right? So that's how we get this one. Then give me that next step. That's where I got a little fuzzy there.
Well, it's some of them, like number 4, you can't really do it, but there's for that one, there's times 9 by 2.
Okay, so we take the back number times 2, and then just throw a W on there.
Yeah.
Okay, seem to get there. And then how do we get the last number?
And then you just use the last number as the exponent.
Okay, so you said it works here, but you said it won't work.
Yeah, it won't work over there.
Well, I need one that works in both spots. Somebody else got it? Blake, what do you think?
Just multiply. So the step you're confused on. Just multiply the numbers in the parentheses.
Okay,
And then double.
so multiply these two together and then double it. So 2 times 4 is 8, and then just double it, and we get 16. So let's test it here. So first thing squared gives me this. So same thing, do I multiply these together?
Just the numbers. So it'd be just 3 times 2.
Okay, so 3, so well there's like a 1 there. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is this. And then the last one we square. Okay? We agree with that? Okay? That's actually real close. It's not only the number that I multiply by, but technically I'm multiplying by the letter also. Okay? So let's kind of watch. We'll use it on this one. So they say take the first thing and square it. So that really means take the first thing and multiply it by itself. So 2s times 2s gives me that. The back end, 4 times 4, gives me the back number. The middle one is where there's thinking involved. Multiply the two terms together. So I would get 8s, and then I double it, and I get 16. Now, if you're super smart, why do we double it? Why does that work? Why do I have to times it by 2? Blake?
Well, you have to do it twice.
If you look through every FOIL problem, when we're squaring something like this, the two middle terms, the outside insides, are always the same. And that's why we're multiplying it by 2. We have 2 of them. Okay? That's exactly right. So let's go down here and test it. So number 5, I do not want to see any FOIL work anywhere. First thing times itself. What would I get? 9s squared. Multiply the two terms together. What would we get? Everybody, what's 3s times 1? 3s, and then double it. So plus 6s. And then what do I write at the end? Plus how much? 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay? You guys try to do number 6 without any work. Okay? So you guys try to do number 6 without any work, and then hit play once you have it done. Alright, so you should have number 6 done right now. So, first times first, how much, everybody? That was a real bad everybody. 25s squared. Middle term, how much? How much will the middle term be? 20? Give me a head bob, yes or no? So plus 20s. 5 times 2 is 10, and then you double it to make 20. Plus, what's at the end? 4. Okay? Now, I'm going to be pretty honest with you. If you can remember this pattern, it is fast. Okay? That's an easy thing to do. But quite honestly, most people forget the pattern, and they just end up writing 2 of them and then foiling it out. I'm okay either way. Later on, when you guys get to Algebra 2, your teacher is going to expect you to know the pattern and use the pattern. So if you want to start using it now and you think you can remember it, go right ahead. Otherwise, you're going to need to FOIL them out. Okay? All right, next little chunk down here. It says multiplying a sum and a difference. Can you find the pattern? Okay, so first thing I want you to notice is take a look at every set of parentheses. What do you notice about the 2 sets of parentheses? One's positive, one's negative. What else do you notice about the 2 sets of parentheses? They have the same numbers or terms in them. That's right, okay? So when they look identical, except one is a plus and one is a minus, we have a special name for that. They are called conjugates. Okay, so go ahead and write that down there. Put a little arrow that these are called conjugates. When we see that sum and difference pattern, it's really called conjugates. That's kind of a name we're going to use a lot here. So, same thing. There's a pattern in this. So what I would like from you is to do the first 3, FOIL them out, and see if you can start seeing what the pattern is. As soon as you see it, you can start using it, but just do 1, 2, and 3, okay? All right, so you should have 1, 2, and 3 done right now, and then hopefully you have noticed that there's a pattern in here, okay? Hannah, are you ready? Tell me what you wrote for your first line. Are you sure that's not a 4a on your paper? Okay. Okay. What'd you get for your final answer? What's negative 4 plus 4? Hang on. What's negative 4 plus 4? What's negative 4 plus 4? 0. So then I shouldn't have any a's. And then what do I have? Yep. So a squared minus 16 is where we should have ended up there. Okay. Wesley? No. And then what'd you get for your final answer? Okay, so here's a quick side question. Can we see the pattern already? What's happening? What? The cancel, the middle steps. In FOIL, what are the middle steps? Outside and inside. So if you look, there's the outside, there's the inside. They cancel each other out. Outsides, insides cancel each other out. So give me feedback. What could be the fast way I could go from the beginning to the end without showing any work? Say it again really loud. I just heard it. The first and the last. Okay? So if we are multiplying conjugates, the first and the last are all I have to worry about. The outsides and insides cancel each other out. So first times first, how much should I get? Everybody, first times first, what should I get? 25. Last times last, what do we get? Negative g squared. Okay? So if I go down to number 4, I see that they're conjugates. So first times first, what would we get? 4c to the second. And last times last? Minus 9. Okay? This pattern I expect you to use because this one's super easy to see. It's super easy to remember. Okay? The other one, I know it gets a little bit tougher to remember, but this one is super easy to remember. Okay? All right, so it says, when foiling the sum and difference pattern, the outsides and insides cancel. Okay. All right, so down here we have 4 problems, and they've got big letters in them, big exponents in them, but really they're one of those 2 patterns up above. And so I want to try to use the 2 patterns up above to do them. Okay? So the first pattern is just called binomial squares, or you have a perfect square basically. The other one is called conjugates, okay, or the sum and difference pattern. Which one is this? The perfect squares one, okay? So, kind of walk through what we did up above. I take the first thing times itself. So what's p to the 5th times p to the 5th? P to the 10th. Then remember, the tricky part of the pattern is finding the middle term. Multiply the 2 things together and double it. So what would I get if I multiply these together and then I double my answer? Negative 16, and then what about letters? Say it again. Q to the 3rd and what? I have to have something else on there. What's the other thing I have to have on there? P to the... No, what goes with this? It's not just Q to the 3rd. You should have P to the 5th and Q to the 3rd. Remember, it's multiply these 2 things together and then double it. Okay? Then, last term. This times itself. So plus 64Q to the what? 6th. If I FOILed it out the long way, this is what I would get. Okay? Next one. Perfect square pattern or conjugates? Conjugates. So what's the trick? What's the fast way to do it? First times first is 36p to the last times last. Negative what? There you go. Okay. Next one. Perfect squares or conjugates? Perfect squares. So first times itself, what do we get? E to the 8th. Middle term, what do we do? How do I find the middle term? This is where people need to talk a little bit versus just looking at me. Multiply what by the first? So multiply the 2 things together, and then what? Double it. So what does it mean to double something? Multiply it by 2. So 2e to the 4th, f to the 2nd. And then last times last, f to the 4th. 4. Perfect squares or conjugates? Conjugates. What's my answer? What should I write down? 9w to the 8th minus z to the 6th. Okay, so those are kind of tough, and then some of us are a little daydreamy. And the phone's ringing. All right. Homework tonight. We need to call it 8.4a. We're going to do 9 through 16, 25 through 30, and 36 to 49. Okay?